Welcome back into the Sunrise Show. My name is Angel Walker. Today we'll be diving into the rights of single parenthood in Uganda. Whether single motherhood or single fatherhood, we request you to be a part of this discussion. And what is the way that you can participate in it? Use the number 0746405060 to be a part of this great discussion. Or tagging on our social media handles, that is at Promise TV, UG on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or even on YouTube. Well, in studio there are my co-hosts, that is Dawn Stewart, G the Girl, and Susie the Rich Babe. Let us find out how they're doing before we go any further.
Personally, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
President.
Wait, you look as if I have more to say.
No, personally, I'm good.
Oh, okay, you guys are.
The president is sounding so much.
Okay, you guys, are you fine? Jean, you look okay.
Okay, I'm okay, but I'm not getting the vibe I'm supposed to be getting. Today, maybe we should shift.
Today, I'm taking seriously my office.
I thought your life.
Jean, really?
Anyway, very good morning to you, our dear viewers. I'm okay.
Ah, bonjour mes amis. Vous êtes bien? Je vais bien.
Maybe Bumalo
That's
Bioge.
a very big intimidation.
I know, right?
Can you write that down?
No, it is. Good morning, my friends. Are you well? Personally, I'm well. Yeah, je vais bien.
My friend is Mezami.
Mes amis, my friends.
Oh.
Mes amis, mon
But,
ami, my friend.
But can you write that down?
Oui, oui.
But
Je parle et j'écris de français, le français.
You can interpret. You can interpret.
Anyway, friends, I'm quite
Hey,
disappointed
you
a little bit because last Sunday was Father's Day.
You're kidding.
Yes, it was Father's Day, and the way the internet was quiet, as though fathers don't play a key role.
No.
Last week.
Last Sunday,
Not yesterday.
Not yesterday.
not yesterday.
Last-
The other one.
And it wasn't even
Angel.
noticed.
I actually
It was
saw
not
it on one person's status,
Yes.
and I was also.
It was Mother's
Because
Day.
there was no absolute excuse. The previous one was Mother's Day. Then the next one was Father's Day.
Someone made a statement and said every day is Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Kubanga ffe batugamba bannanga omwami mufeeko omwami.
Nenga momo fako.
Tojja ffe tugikola.
Women's Day, you also later.
Ate also them their expectations are high. Today's Women's Day, bannange mommy should do about bannange.
And normally it used to be like Women's Day, the
Yeah.
the kitchen and
Cook something.
Okay, I think there are people who do it, but man. every
But
day
me,
is a
I'm
man's day.
disappointed that I didn't even notice.
I'm sorry about that.
But the beauty is, I mean, I celebrate my father also on Mother's Day, so really, he didn't miss out.
But this is the note I want us to start on. Yesterday and today, very many parents are taking back their children to school. And we are noticing that there's a trend whereby there's this particular parent that shows up to school. And what we are diving deep here is the rise of single parenthood in Uganda. Single parenthood does not just come as an island of its own. There are underlying factors that are right in there. Because a single parenthood roots out from separation. But we are saying Uganda Bureau of Statistics, that is as of 2024, revealing to us that there is an increase from 20% in 2020 to 30% in 2023 of single motherhood. So I would want us to really explore what is driving this increase underneath.
First of all, I have a few numbers here. And here it says the number of divorce cases filed in the family division of the High Court has more than doubled from 215 in the previous year to 503 in the recent period. Now, if you're having these numbers of divorce reported to to the High Court every month.
How many are those? Once again?
Now the current one is 503.
Every month.
Yes.
503
cases.
month.
Yes, per month.
Well, that's high.
So if you're having these cases reported or divorce cases, so chitegeza, you're going to have more single parents.
Yes.
You get.
Meaning they're reported, but not all are granted.
Yeah, they are just reported and registered, maybe. But we should
by the time omuntu abamu webatukira okufilinga in divorce or even babera separating, probably one of the parties wants to move on their lives. Kakati babera separating nga tebakyabera bonna. Chitegeza omu yabeera n'omwana.
Now, yeah, we also have to know that from this single parenthood, we saw its rise from 1950s up to 1970s because globally, by the way, because of the wars. For example, the Second World War, when men went into war. There came a time and every man had to be registered to go and fight. So the rise of single parenthood, much as we might attribute it to instabilities in homes, but there was a rise of single parents because of the war, World War II especially. And men went missing, and you wouldn't know, will he be back, won't he be back? And you also don't know as a parent, as a mother, where this is going to throw you. Will it leave you in the same village, or will it take you to another location altogether? We saw the genocide in Rwanda, our neighbors here. And by the end of the genocide, families didn't know where they were. Children were in another direction. The men were, of course, dead and elsewhere. Then there were also those women that had gone to war and died, and all that. Even in our own Uganda here, in the times when there was the war that brought this government to power. And even before, but this one was more rampant and, outstanding. We saw a rise of single parents. Our fathers were in exile, especially in Kenya. Most of our fathers ran to Kenya, Tanzania, and so out of that, there was a big rise in single parenthood. So I don't want us to take it that single parenthood is only because of divorce cases or separations, but there were these effects of war that happened a long time ago. So kati era wabeerangawo time nga n'omwami ne bwakomawo nga tezigatta, because first of all akubye nnyo emmundu obwongo trauma nga yenna obwongo bwasaanuse dda nga tabitegeera ebya family. So out of that, because of the things that they have gone through at that particular time, bringing back these families together. First of all, I don't even know if there was, say, counseling or people to I don't know if those services
were offered.
I think they were a little, because Ugandans, Baganda have this saying, yeah,
the way you guys just said it, it's like
right?
No, there was actually a neighbor of ours, and you guys, but there was a neighbor of ours. I think I'm going to just give you stories. There was a neighbor of ours. The husband one time came back, and he was in the NRA battle, and when he came, I think he just got into the house and we started hearing the woman screaming. So for us who were children, and we didn't know why this woman was screaming, we said, Jayaja, now oba yakola ky'omukazi naye era twagenda okulaba omukazi avuddeyo, she's bleeding, bamukubye, n'amala n'afuluma n'agenda. And another time he came back, and again the same process. So there was a lot. Now you imagine now welcoming back your husband who is in that state, Kubanga now it could be that he's harbored a lot from the battle. So now, of course, he also needs a place to release it.
All the anger and violence.
Ninayo mchala wangeno. Ngabwajukira najana kuba.
But also because he probably had some rumors.
But
rumors, exactly, whatever. But I don't know if that family
ever gets back
yes.
to,
but
you know, but going back to
also that why actually it's so high, there is education and empowerment now for women. So many women have been empowered. We've seen a rise in women activists. So at the moment, very many women prefer to raise those children alone than to stay in those abusive relationships or marriages. But because we are surrounded, like there is a lot of support from these activists. I mean, help is everywhere, even in our communities. Instead of you having such a marriage or being in such a relationship, you would rather raise those kids alone. There is this kind of support, there is that kind of support. And if a woman has been educated, it's very hard for them to bear with such relationships because I'm educated, I can work. Why would I stay in such a relationship or in such a marriage if I can pay for my children, I can take care of them? Surely they have no reason to stay in such marriages. They would prefer to raise their own children.
You know that also omwana bwabanga akuzidwa single parent, there is a way
there is something denied.
Kati bwatuuka okubeera mu bufumbo bubwe okimanyi nti astrugglinga nnyo okubeeringa n'obufumbo obwo, and in most of the cases you'll find that those people bafundikiranga nabo bawukanye nosanga nga asigaza omwana.
No, on a lighter note, even before I see Sue wants to jump in and grab that, but there is a woman of God. I think she trended throughout the weekend, and she was advising people that marriage is you as a wife, your calling is to serve your husband, and all these beautiful Christian things that we talk about marriage. And people were like, you are just lucky you got a man who is responsible. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is so harsh. So I went on the comment section, to know the comments, people were blocked and what, because I mean, like, even today we have seen a very big difference and gap between what we even preach to our people and the reality on ground.
But it takes us back to, do you know that yesterday I just got to realize that I'm a millennial?
So you thought you were Gen Z?
Yeah, I thought I'm Gen Z actually. So I went and saw the great generation, the bloomers, and then I was like, okay, me, I was born somewhere here. I realized I'm a millennial. I said, So every day I thought I'm a Gen Z. But it goes back to the decision of an individual makes, walking out of an abusive relationship because you have been abused. But this ripple effect cuts across when the children grow up. Like me, that I've been raised by a father, and I've realized there's a certain age where you feel that you want to, I think there's a love you want to get, but you don't get it. Or you wake up every night and you're like, Daddy Tabanga food. Because of that kind of fear that you have. Oh, what if they go? What will happen to me? But we have realized that children who grow up with both parents and one who grows up with a single parent, they are completely different backgrounds, different mindset, different perspectives about life. But when we just go back to what Stuart shared about 503 cases monthly, that is a really big number.
Angel, when you say that, I remember some time ago when someone said that children who have been raised by single parents find it hard to make decisions. And I had to check myself. There are those people go, not all, but many of them. No more this and that. What do you think we should go with? Or what do you want? Nagamba, I don't know. Like tamani. I don't know what causes this. It's hard for you to decide. It's hard for you to to take this side. I think there is that kind of confusion as a single, as a child raised in a single, with a single parent. But it also has its advantages.
The single.
Because let me tell you, look at, you've seen children who have been raised in abusive homes. Nti omwana you're picking at that character. Ela, when you notice some of those children, if they're in school, it shows in their relationships with their friends. And they even call you as a parent, your child is such a bully. Why? So you know what? I would rather, not only mothers, even fathers, because it shows that also fathers are single parents, though at a smaller percentage compared to the mothers. I would rather put my children in a safe place than to leave them in a very,
toxic home.
Recently a friend were talking, and I've been following up on this family. He would tell me they can't even sleep because the family keeps fighting in the night. And now it has gone to the children. The big child will beat these ones. You can imagine very young kids. So such a child, omujamu your character.
It's extremely hard.
It's hard because they also get traumatized. That's why you would rather say, you know what, I'd rather stay with these kids or let the father stay with the children than to leave them in a place where they're not okay. I watched Pursuit of Happiness yesterday. It was showed on this station, and I saw how this father insisted on staying with his child. Ngagama mama, you cannot take care of the child. Until you yourself, you check yourself before you take up that responsibility. Can I manage? Simply because maybe that one of the parents is they abuse substance, maybe they are very alcoholic or they are drug addicts, and you choose a safe place for your child. Now these things are rising because even recently you're talking about people who are into drug abuse, and most of them are parents. So now you choose to.
Susie, is when we look at someone transitioning from being an adult to a parent, how prepared are they? What are their parenting style that they use to teach their children? Because you'll find a parent saying, now we know. Yeah, like I remember my neighbor, she used to tell the children, Fetwayozanga, the Muslim outfits, you know how heavy they are. Now we know kutaga maseflia. So I said, so this is just a trauma being transitioned to this child.
I don't know if it's trauma really. Recently, I think us as Africans, there is a way we've been raised. Recently, I watched an interview. Michelle Obama is being interviewed. Nebamobuza, how have you managed to raise your children in such an environment? I mean, you've been in the White House before, but we rarely hear funny stories about your kids. Like, Nobakuza, like real African children. No, it's very simple. Despite the fact that we're in the White House, we would look at them like they do not deserve it. You get? So if you do not deserve it, I'm not going to put it at your disposal. Yes, it's available, but first we didn't get it. So you don't deserve it. Because sometimes when we have all these things, we actually don't know how to value them. So and I came out well.
Let us look at the insurgencies that we had as Uganda from the early 1990s to 2000, the rise of HIV/AIDS. When the HIV/AIDS really hit, actually from the 1989, but the rise was in 1990 to 2000s. And we saw a rise in single parenthood. Because people really were hit. We as Uganda were hit by this pandemic, HIV/AIDS. It took away so many parents. It took away, and it definitely left some single, so many orphans and all that. But there's something you've talked about and mentioned, And this one is in the family structure of our African setting. Now, when especially these deaths rise, for example, abazadde bafudde, and then tata ne mama bagenze fine, kati abaana definitely are taken up by a relative. Okay? Now, when they are taken up by this relative, what is the state of that relative? Fine. A child is brought up by the community, but which community is bringing up this child? So is it going to make them more independent, or is it going to give them that family kind of setting also, where they will be proud to have their own families when they grow up? Kubanga kati nawe, your parents, these parents passed on because of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Then now they get to this family and they find that this one is my aunt, but she's hardcore. So kati omwana naye ajja ku, so wabeerawo ebintu ebibeerawo mu bulamu bw'abaana nga they've not signed up for them, and they just come not because they really want, but because that is the current situation on ground. So you find that the child picks it up and moves with that, and it will affect the rest of the generation.
Yeah, and just coming in on that, the time we are in, the 20 decades we are in, there is a growing trend of it's easy to walk out. Nja kutandika my own life. Nja kubasasulira, nja kubabeererawo, nja kubeera taata waabwe. That kind of mindset, what do you guys think, where it came from? You know, Susie had just mentioned about gender equality.
I think it's because oli bw'abanga yakula in a home nga mulimu maama akuze na maama yekka naddala abakyala bw'abanga yakola na maama yekka n'alabanga maama hasolinga every single day to make things happen, so maama agenda kubeera hero. So kakati omuntu ono bw'akula naye n'atuuka mu bufumbo bwe agenda kubeera wano ng'alaba restrictions ezimuteebwako omwami, engeri omwami gy'amuyisa, ebintu bino byonna byonna ebiri uncomfortable about this marriage, and they're like, by the way, I can even make it on my own. Mama wange nga yahasolinga, nga yatukuza, nga yatusomesa, nga yakolanga, yali talina musajja yenna nange luno nsobola buvaamu. Like the marriage is not so important to them that they can fight to keep it.
True.
It's like it's not a priority. They can lose it and move on in their mindsets. But do you know that that actually causes a lot of emotional distress? Now there is a report here from a website called Make Mothers Matter, and also from the UN, and it says that that this causes a lot of depression, where 33% of single mothers are actually prone to emotional distress, a lot of it, compared to only 88% of married mothers who experience emotional distress. Now, when you also look at its effect on the children, where you have 78.5%, 78.5% of children raised by single parents, single mothers, are prone to have emotional distress.
You know, Stuart, just coming in there, here's the question. When a spouse gets distressed, where do they take this pain or emotional distress to be cushioned? So you find that a parent bottoms this up or pours it to a child, and so you find that at the end of the day, even the child is you know, my father used to tell me, you eat dust, you'll be the worst person, you'll be this. And I realized, I've even, like last week, my sister read to me the letter I wrote at the age of 14. I'd written, "Dear Daddy, thank you for raising me for the past 7 years. I love you, but I'm going to my mother." And when she read to me that letter, in my head now, like almost 20 years after, I'm asking myself, what was in my mind at that time to leave my dad and go to my mother? Because you realize that it was trauma. You know, these thoughts you tell a child because they are growing and they also have emotions.
But what I've realized with the African setting is that we don't know where to go for help.
Sure.
Exactly.
We don't know who to talk to. We don't know who to share with. And so we'd rather bottom it and have it by ourselves. Number one, tutyo okuswala. As Africans, tutyo okuswala. Therapy, the city therapy is not for Bagubadalu. Like everyone needs once in a while to talk about these things. And it's these years that where we've seen a rise of, you know, women groups, Anigina groups, and cash rounds, and that's where people go and pour. But still you find that the men especially don't have such groups.
Yes.
No one helps them. And you see, it still stems back from our culture, whereby a woman is more prepared than the man. Katela na yebo abanga yekati ba kula bamanyi nti nina kyemalira. Ya kyemalira. Kati bwatuuka ewaka, definitely they will pour it somewhere. Because the time definitely comes and the bottle is full.
Sure.
And it has to be poured out. So that's when now they start hitting the woman, they start hitting the children, the cat, everything. Kuwaga, men just don't know how to pour out, to open up. And these things are affecting families
by
like crazy.
2022, a life expectancy in Uganda, for men it was 61.49
Which year was that?
By 2022, life expectancy. Now for women it's 65.7 years. Now chiragachi nti abachala somehow bwagende ewasu namugamba negbo nangomanye ekyabaddewo they can basobolo they know how to let out this ebibalumiza trauma nayogerako n'omuntu nawuliranga ate olokose. But for men you will bottle your things because wali agadde okukyogerako ne musajja muno naye otya ugenda kuswala banakulaba batya yo omusajja agenda kundaba atya nti nemereddwa okukuza omwana wange mukyala wange ali bwati ali mukumpisa bwati bagenda you get so omukyala nkuba omukyala now omwami gyakoma okubotolinga ebintu bino in most cases ogenda kusanga nti bigenda kuvaamu endwadde.
Me, I think it's related mostly for the men. You know, from a very young age, we raise our boys telling them you're strong. Omusajja takaba. We even have this saying of enume kula bigo. Like you feel like man is entitled to pain. They should take it in. They should receive it. It doesn't matter. So era omulaba omusajja ne wabeera afiiriddwa ng'akaaba bamugamba gumaguma oli musajja omusajja takaaba okitegeera omusajja aguma naye. And we've had this discussion before. I remember telling people that it's okay to cry. It's okay to talk. It's okay to speak up. Maybe the problem is not knowing where to go. I remember there is a time I don't know, I was sharing with some lady, nangamba Su, tell your mother. Mama o mugambe, mbu mama akwata simanye chintu nakisiba wano. Like, okay, they can bottom it for you. Because we've been raised, omukyala toyogera bya maka, toyogera this, you don't say this. So you ask yourself, who am I going to talk to? And even the people that we trust are not trustworthy. Nti omuntu omugambe bintu, you believe you are safe. You find those things all over. And you're wondering, okay, now where is my safe space? Nawesanga, you would rather bottom those things. And as we said, Omani, when you are full or when you're empty, you have nothing to give. I've seen people who walk out because they've been emotionally hurt. Parents, nagamba, I had nobody to talk to. I'm bottoming a lot. I would rather just leave. Natambla na agenda. I've heard of men who tell you, "Uchina sukawo wano." I am going to leave. I'll walk out. And it's because of how we are raised. You can't even speak up. Now, because you cannot speak up, you would rather go. But anyway, one thing that I have realized that has that is so common lately. It's the issue of employment or migration, especially the parents here who leave the country and go to work out. Nga balina abaana, eh? And now, you know, the biggest percentage of people that leave are usually women. And these women have children. At times they leave them with their fathers. But you know what? Let me go and work. So newe sanganga, now it's the mother going to take up the responsibility. And the fear is sometimes people fear kati wako maunga, his mind steady kubwe. Which is very possible.
I wanted to actually talk about that part where the parents, you know that it started actually in the early 2000s, where parents, 1999, around mid-1995 to early 2000s, we saw a rise of parents, especially women, leaving the country and going for greener pastures. Why? Omusajja simutegeera bino binsobedde
the moment he cheats.
The moment he cheats, and then the woman does tayagala okuswala nagamba kachesinga visa.
Ate by then byali byabwerere. Remember, you pay from your salary.
Nebagenda kati era abasinga balabirira bakadde kubanga there was even nothing. No, sorry about that, but there was no, because today the girls that go for yes, even Canada, they go and do dancing. Now that is formal, but our mothers went for the informal, where they say that no, there is this home that needs it. So they would really go because labor was needed. Now most of the women went there. Now I know a family where the mother left, she went. That lady had one daughter. The daughter gets to the UK, finds the mother there. She actually, I think, went when she had conceived, and she didn't know. She also got one daughter. Era kati daughter naye jali, they are in the same house. Ne daughter yafuna yo boyfriend eyo. Nazala kata ina son. Kwegamba, there is this single parenthood that comes following even after the children, the grandchildren now.
And you know that this is where it actually becomes a challenge. Still based on this report, it says children of single parents may be more likely to engage in risky behaviors such as early sexual activity and suicidal ideation, especially teenagers of divorced parents, whereby the rate is either 1.5 to 2 times in their lifetime. If you said every single, like the average is 2 times. Ideas of suicide or engaging into sexual activity in their teenage. And I think it's been on a very, very much rise because probably because of the trauma, most of our girls, the trauma that comes with absence of a father, absence of a mother, and you know that the desire to be loved, the desire to be accepted, the desire for comfort, and the desire to be given time. Because remember, if you said every single omwana bwabanga akuzena single parent, mama ona abera ku hustle full.
Exactly. Very true. Yes.
Tatera kubana budde bwa kuwa mwana nti omwana ayogere naye, like it's recent. Okimanyi Jean, there are very many children abakula n'abazadde naye nga mama tamanyi mwana.
It's true. It's true.
Like their personality.
Mama akera kumacha nagenda mu katale to that hustle naona wakolera akomawo kiro kati nga literally omuzadde tamanyi mwana.
On that very note, I would like us to engage our audience. Ate obanga batulaba basobola okukozesa number 0746 to send us your thoughts on what you think about this particular rise of single parenthood in Uganda. Kikyolabye ate ndowooza kijjosobola okulowooza nti abantu basobola okubanga bakola okubanga bakyusa embeera mu ggwanga lyaffe. Let's dive back into the discussion. But friends, Stuart, I want to appreciate that report that you've read. You know, what is in the mind of a child that has been raised by one single parent is you want to express yourself freely.
Yeah.
But your parent is also the tough type. So you end up entering these relationships to get some comfort or the missing love that you ought to have got. And that is why we are seeing those suicidal thoughts and
Angel, you
tendencies.
see that one thing I've noticed is because you're alone, you face very many challenges as a parent. You don't have people to talk to emotionally because most cases already so you can't come throwing your issues at someone else. At times, because you're frustrated, you're going to pour these emotions on this child. Ababachala usually they are angry.
True.
They are very angry. Either omchala bwacho wesanga atolusa omwana we yomu yakola ebintu ebiri funny ku ssomero jukira omwana tumumanyi ne bagamba the child did this. You don't know the child's character. You've not given it time because you are busy, and even when the child wants you to hear them out, you don't give them the time because you don't have it.
But I want to be one of those people who shares an experience. When I was growing up and found that, okay, now I have a dad, I wanted to ask, I asked the question, what made mom leave? I wanted to dig deeper as a child because I was entitled. You go to school, your friends are coming with both parents and all that. So I began to develop somehow like a hatred because my father was speaking ill of my mom. I'm like, I also, even me, I don't love her and all that. So I realized that there was a transfer of anger or trauma to me. So until I began to assess the situation, and I said, you know what, I don't know the bottom line that made these two people separate. All that I need to do is to be a child and love them. So it's until like 2 years ago when I visited my mother. You guys, it's very shocking. I went to my mother's home. I told her, is this not the road that leads to church? Yes. Oh, we're not staying near church? Yes. Is this not the pastor of the church? Like at 3 years, and after 20 years, I'm still remembering all these kind of things. So we sit in the middle of the night and have a conversation. And I asked Mom, what made you leave? And I realized that this was not a conversation she was ready to have with me while I was a teenager. And you know, and I was like, okay, now this has happened. And I'm going to love her the way she is. Because there are certain things a parent cannot share with you until you have matured. But children who are raised by single parents are always fighters. They have to fight their way through. They know that there's no backup. You have to make sure that you're making it in life, whatever way it is.
But there is also an author of a book, Growing Up with a Single Parent. And of course, the title is What Hurts, What Helps, by Gary Sandfer. And she says that children in single-parent households often face more challenges. They face economic challenges, they face educational challenges, and they face emotional challenges compared to those in two-parent homes. But outcomes vary based on stability and support, because what this basically means is that much as they may face, for example, the father pays, sometimes if he's not happy, that time he will not study. Now there might come a support at some point or help at some point in your life. Now that one will make you vary from the way you respond to life compared to the person who had both parents.
True, yes.
And that is where the distinction comes in. So me, I want to believe, much as yes, all this is happening, and all hope is not lost.
Like, do you know that when I was growing up, I never wanted to identify myself as someone that is being raised by a single parent, because there's stigma to it, there is pain to it, until I embraced it in adulthood, and I was like, you know what, this is life. But I'm not going to let my children live this kind of life, because there is something you deny them and the next generation that comes in.
But do the parents know?
There is always a complete imbalance.
Yes.
There is always an imbalance in terms of confidence the child has. Wegendereze omwana ne bwabanga abadde akuze maka where there are two parents newankubadde nga abazadde bano probably maybe it may be a toxic home but nga mama ne taata we bali bombi.
Yes.
Normally there is a difference in terms of confidence omwana gy'abeera nayo.
Sure.
In terms of even normal behavior. Have you ever heard of this saying nti omwana engeri omwana behaving when they know that ng'akyali muto ye nga tamanyi mu vocabulary ye temuli mu kigambo no temuli mu kigambo you can't get this.
Yes.
Now this even comes up newankubadde nga probably amaka gano gayinza okuba nga tegabadde so stable, probably tewabaddewo nnyo sente naye there is always this difference omwana gy'abeera nayo. And of course, our dear viewers, it's not to say, because there is something that has been going on recently. Omwala akuze ne single parent nga takuze na mama na tata tasobola kufumba, tasobola kusustaininga maka. It's so much, and I've had a number of people come who confided in me, telling me, you know, this guy young Anna, because young Anna nanchawa bwe yamanya nti nakula na mama yekka, bwe yamanya nti nakula na tata yekka gayo nanchawa. So this is to encourage you, actually you can sustain a marriage now kubadde ng'okuze na single parent. You can live a good life. It's not like there is no hope for you.
Allow me read some comments that have come in. Mark says, we're in a generation of microwave and AI. This translates to everything, including our relationships. Tugenda nebyanguwa. So Apuli also shares, that is Daniel Apuli, he says, the impatience in women, especially when the husband isn't yet finally stable or financially stable. Then he also says the effort the government has put towards a girl child than a boy child without balancing, it has also contributed to single parenthood. I do agree with him on this. Then he closes up by saying the children, a snake resembles the environment where it grows from. Kudos to that.
I think I agree on that. Stuart talked about the confidence, but I'll tell you, me, I believe, because I've met children who have been raised in a home where there is both mother and father, and their confidence is very low.
You're right.
Nti newesanga te atali in a home where they're both parents, their confidence is up there.
True.
So what he said, nti the environment, we've seen mothers, single mothers, raise powerful children, great leaders. Okitegeera nti kubanga kati omwana wabeera afiiriddwa daddy we, then what? You get, do you want to tell me ntitajja kufumbirwa golaba she's not a potential wife because she doesn't have a father? She's not a potential wife or a potential husband because she doesn't have a mother? But there are people, there are mothers who are emotionally stable. Nti ajja kugamba, I believe it's my responsibility to build my child the way I want them to be.
Now, so it takes an intentional mother.
Sure.
It takes mama nga naye yennyini getting over the trauma of whatever caused the separation.
Or even that father.
Naye bw'osanga mama, and this is the biggest number of mothers or fathers who haven't gotten over the stress, the trauma, and the effects of the separation. Kakati ebiseera ebisinga ono bw'abanga getting over them, tatera kubeera intentional on how they are raising the child, or most of them are just raising this child the way they know how to. Most so bona asanga nga gene change yayogeddeko. Mama yava wano n'agenda e UK, omwana we n'ava wano naye n'agenda nga conceiving n'azaalirayo omwana n'afuna boyfriend but still in the same house. Kakati omwana ono bwe bazaalidde e UK alina boyfriend naye ng'akyali waka, in most cases ogenda kusanga nga ebintu bingi byatasobola ku stomakinga, tasobola kubeera patient with some of the things that happen.
The attachment.
Okitegeera. Because akuze nga atunuulira mama ne jjajja bonna they are single parents. Probably mama bw'abanga yamala n'afunayo omusajja nga agenda namu meeting eyo still n'akomawo ewaka. Kati there is so much she can't put up with.
And so you see, the reason why we are here is to help people. This is what I'm trying to say. Nti Yes, it has happened as a lady.
So what next?
Move on. You get it. Tubanga tugamanti. It's not the child's fault.
Yeah.
Every morning, I know my child is very emotional. He'll just get in a place and cry over nothing, over abedao, amazigagayike, just like that. It's my responsibility to okumanya. This child is very emotional.
True.
And I tell him, you are strong, you are brave, you are better than this person, you are better at this, you are so good at this. I love your smile. And see, it's my responsibility to affirm every day.
So I want to agree with the opinion Daniel Apoli has shared here, and especially what you are expounding on in terms of children. These are children who enter marriages where the spouse is mentally stable.
Yeah.
And then the girl says that, Banange tankuba, anjagala oba tanjagala. Why? Because of what they have really seen. But here's what Esther's opinion. Esther says, Yipo, let's talk about culture. It focuses on disciplining and equipping girls for marriage, but not applying the same thing to the boys. No gwa kumuntu nga talina mpisa yadde. Parents have taught girls to be women, but not boys to be men.
Now you people, let me tell you, we've been talking about courtship or dating. Before you get into this relationship, Luli to Abagamba, annoy your person, freak them out and see their
Know how they
reaction.
respond
Yes,
when
don't
they are
just go
angry.
kubanga talk. And also African women have this thing of aloza abera kwagalanya inokokuba, which is not right.
Susan, do you know that I got that out of the mouth of a woman?
Yeah.
This was actually, she was my cousin.
Yeah.
She was telling me, Stuart, father cousin got of course she was coming from a funny background, but she was telling me, Stuart, father cousin tunyiza. Ero musajja bwatakuba. Mazima batakwagala. I'm like, now kiriza ebintu.
Yeah, some women think that when
there is
on
something we are not talking about that is causing single parenthood also. Ekintu ky'obutaba na ssente, poverty, economy engeleese single parenthood in this nation. Kati omusajja bambi kati jjukira yakula ne taata oba maama yekka. Kati nga bambi simu kakaalukanye ng'ate still talina smart bulungi nga obwongo buganye okuyiiya bulungi kuteekawo akamere ku meza. Kati now he gets into a relationship and finds this hustler. For her, she knows how to make money. Where there is money, she will go. Ziri mu video, okay. Kunonya buveda kali. Kuchupa. And this woman doesn't see a reason as to why you don't have money as the man. So kati nagamba naye nkola chiwana. I will make it on my own. Ola bakuvina in your poverty.
Balamu n'omukyalo ono eyakula ne maama yekka kakati azza meetings eggaayo ono bali mu kustrugglinga probably n'omukyala yennyinnyini sihasola naye ng'omwami ali mu kugezaako bambi to make ends meet naye nga kikyagaanye bugaanye kakati olwo olw'okuba yakula na maama yekka ng'alaba how can I tusigala tubeera tutya wano nga tuli mu kustrugglinga I'll just go mfuna omusajja omulala.
What happens during the struggle? Kubanga oyinza okubanga omwami ali awo mu strugglinga, it is understandable ng'omwami ali respectful.
Friends, you know we are drawing to the close of this discussion. But me, this is what I want to sign off. Everyone plays a key role to transform this country and take down single parenthood. It all starts from the choices we make. If you say, I'm going to walk out of this marriage or this relationship, the children are going to be affected in the near future. So each one of us plays a key role. I mean, 503 cases per month. That is just maybe even on average. Each one of us has to make sure we take the right path. That when we are taking a decision, we look at its ripple effect and where it will take us.
Well, what I would want to say is that there is a we've welcomed divorce so easily. Like, it's so easy. Yesterday I saw a very short video where the lady and the husband and the wife had just finished signing their papers of divorce, and they were in the car singing, I mean, a love song, Baba Let It Burn or something, but they're really happy. And it's simply because the woman says, the man used to always throw it in her face, I'll divorce you, I'll divorce you. It became,
So
it's okay. Kati omchala natural coming, anytime, it's okay to move on. Anytime I should expect it, it's very easy. But before you divorce, yesterday a gentleman told me, Mr. Nyabongo, the husband to Miss Joy Nyabongo, said that there is no marriage that is too good for, it's too hard for God to fix. Meaning it's possible to fix it. So before you go to separate or to divorce, first think about your children. Think about them, because it comes with trauma, it comes with stress for a child. So first put that into consideration. Are you ready for all the consequences? All the things that we've shared about these children who are raised in single families or in homes where they're single parents. Are you ready for the consequences? Because sometimes I want to believe some people take it up with selfish reasons. We are done. Because you're putting yourself first, you're not considering the children. So before you take up this decision, mind about the consequences. Is it good for your child? Can you fix it or you cannot? It's okay. Feel like your children are going to come out stable.
And consequences also being part of, think about the nation, I think. Like a nation where we have a rise in single parenthood and the effect it has on this nation. Because at the end of the day, are we trying to fix or mend a problem or, help the community, or we are just going to let it waste? So we should put all these things into perspective.
I think I want to talk to you, the person that was raised by a single parent. There is so much that has been said, but you can actually live a successful life if you focus on self-improvement in those areas. If you have a few imbalances that maybe have come as a pause, and you can do self-improvement, you can grow, you can live a good life, you can sustain a marriage, you can live a good life much as you've been brought up by a single parent. You being raised by a single parent doesn't mean that you're not a person or that you're going to be a failure in life simply because you've been raised by a single parent. You can actually make a good life. You can make a good life out of your life much as you've been brought up by a single parent. So if you're in a relationship that has gender-based violence in it, a toxic relationship where you're being beaten, where it's violent, please mind your life and leave that relationship. Much as we are fearing raising our children in as single parents, but if it's getting violent and if it's threatening your life, please your life as a parent matters more than that marriage.
Wow, kudos to you guys. I think I'm giving you each one of you stickers. Remember those stickers they used to give? And if you didn't get that sticker in your book, you felt like you were the worst person.
Find a sad
worst
one.
performer.
Well, it's been an interesting discussion, very in-depth. And I believe that very many people have been able to relate their experiences and also as they reflect on the decisions they have to make regarding their lives. Some of them are parents, some of them are yet to start the journey of parenthood. But thank you so much for being a great audience, very participative. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 6:45 a.m. to 9 a.m. on A Promise TV. Why don't you sign off right here? I don't know if Uncle Mark could bring us the other song of the kindergarten.
No, last time we did it ourselves.
Anyway, bye-bye for now. See you tomorrow.